Hello, everyone. My name is Macy Sutantio, and I'm the founder of two platforms, Guiding Extraordinary Minds, as well as the Autism Career Pathways, which is a nonprofit based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm super excited for today's conversation as part of the Autistically Wired video interview series. I am joined by Charlotte Bachelor, an autistic self advocate and a terrific role model in our community. And Charlotte is a natural in front of the camera, and I'm super jealous. Charlotte brings such a joyful perspective and authentic perspective to what it means to be autistically wired. And I'm so looking forward to hearing about her interests, what she loves, and the experiences that have shaped who she is today as a young person. Charlotte, thank you so much for being here. And, let's get going. Well, let's give you the stage. Let's
Yeah,
go ahead, introduce yourself,
thank you,
please.
Maisie. As said before, my name is Charlotte Bachelor. I am an autistic self-advocate based in Detroit, Michigan. I do a lot of different things. In my day job, I work as an information officer in marketing and communications at a large university. In my spare time, I am a freelance writer for several organizations. I create content on Instagram and YouTube. I'm a public speaker. Um, Almost will be done with the Michigan Lynn program. So I'm a current Lynn long-term trainee. So I do a lot of things surrounding autism, disability, Black women and girls, but kind of the through line through that is writing, creating, and storytelling.
Nice. You do so many things. It's so incredible. So I see that you're wearing your X-Men t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with that. What do you do for fun?
So for fun, I recently started a YouTube channel. In my previous professional life, I used to create a lot of video content, and I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel. So I create short little videos called Bonnet Chronicles, which are just like insights into my disabled life. I go to Comic Cons whenever I can fit them in my busy schedule. I've been a huge fan of Marvel, specifically X-Men, since I was like 8 or 9. My background is blurred right now, but I have a very large, like a this big storm statue I got for my birthday last year, and it has jewelry on it. I love anything Sanrio, Hello Kitty, Calico Critters, Pokemon. I'm learning to play Magic the Gathering right now. I love photography. So I have two Polaroids and I also have a 35 millimeter camera I've been working with since last year. And I'm about to get those developed. So yeah, I love thrifting. I love coffee. I love anything that gets me out and learning more because I always love to learn why and deep dive. So I also love like museums, watching video essays about my special interest. I listen to a lot of long form podcasting content. So that is what I do when I'm not doing the other million and one things that
The
I do.
serious stuff. Like
Yes.
the serious stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So I love that. So I think you and I connected on Facebook, and I think it was
Hmm.
because you mentioned something about coffee. And of course, being I was born and raised in Indonesia, so a lot of
Hmm.
coffee beans come from Sumatra, which is
Hmm.
one of the islands in Indonesia. So I think that's how I caught your spark that matched my spark. I'm like, oh yeah, let's connect
Yeah.
with her. So for if there are parents of autistic loved ones here, and this is a very important message, autistic people connect with each other through the things that we love. Right. So
Mm.
Charlotte just named a long list of them. And, and it doesn't, I mean, I love photography, but I'm not very good at it. I only take photos with my iPhone, for example.
Hmm.
But I love it because I love straight lines. They're
Yeah.
just like, I like visual organizations.
Yes.
Yes. So can you tell us, like, maybe for one of your special interests, what's the underlying, why is it so appealing to you, maybe visually or auditorily? So help
Yeah.
the audience understand like what's the coding under or especially.
Yeah. So in terms of like long form content or any type of like media with like a large lore or extended universe, I've
Hmm.
always had an interest in writing. Since I've been a very
Hmm.
young child, I've been interested in reading and writing. And when I went away to university, my first major was in journalism. So anything that I can go down the rabbit hole, I picked up a camera for the first time in high school. I did yearbook, I did newspaper, I even went away to journalism camp. So I have always loved taking photos, recording videos and photos. And when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a music journalist. That has changed. Spoiler alert, I'm not a music journalist, but that has kind of like been my through line, like telling stories through different media, whether it's the spoken word, the written word, images, um, videos. I think there's just something really special about that, and I've been able to kind of like carry it on into other areas of my life. So, for example, I love taking pictures. So, I wrote for the school newspaper. I loved writing in college. So, I worked for my university student newspaper for a little bit. I've always had some type of role doing like social media or marketing in college or as a full time job. So, I just love storytelling. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. So I think kind of that like natural inquisitiveness and curiosity I have had, I've been able to, somehow sustain into um a career. Back during COVID, I used to do a ton of like cosplay content on Instagram and like making videos and editing photos, and that has slowed down quite a bit because I'm in a different season of life now. But I mean, I still love, taking pictures wherever I go. Like you said, visual organization, like those leading lines and the rules of third. I was really excited to learn about that in high school, and just kind of like visual congruence is very good to me, but also just like having those memories, like with the Polaroid, having the physical memory of I went to this convention with my partner, or this is me and my best friend at a tailgate, or this is me the night I joined my sorority, like things like having those uh physical things, especially now when we're in a digital age. I have two Polaroid albums filled with photos, and it's so cool to go back and kind of look um over the years. And I've always kept a Polaroid since I've been about like 16 or 17 years old. So I don't have a lot of those early photos, but the photos I do have now kind of into adulthood are a great way to make memories when it seems like time flies when you're an adult and it's just one thing after another. So it's a great way to just stay connected and stay grounded with those good times and happy memories.
Yes, thank you so much. Now I have a question for you. Have you ever been told, maybe by parents or grandparents or other people, and have you ever been told that, you're old, too old to do this interest? I mean, you shouldn't be collecting Hello Kitty stuff anymore because you're an adult now. Have you ever been
Mhm.
told that?
Actually, no, because I have always been a collector. Like when I was a little kid, I would have just these pocket full of rocks in my little hoodies and jeans, and dirt would be everywhere in my room. And my mom just was like, "Okay, this is a lot." But out of like my family, my siblings, I've always have had large collections. I was not diagnosed as autistic until I was 22, so that kind of trinket hoarding, collection having, that's been a part of me since I've been like 14, 15. Now, as soon as I had my own pocket money to go buy comics or concert tickets or figures or band merch, that's always been sort of my thing. So thankfully, my family has supported me in my hobby making. And my friends too, like whenever they're somewhere and they see a Hello Kitty figure, they're like, "Oh, do you have this one? Do you need this one?" Like I'm out here. Like I had a friend in Hawaii a year ago and she got me like the little Hawaiian Hello Kitty coffee cup. So I would say I have family and friends that are very supportive of my interests, even if they can't relate or they're not into the same things. They have been, very supportive of my special interests, no matter how they, tend to manifest.
I don't know if you saw the posts I did on the founder, the creator of Hello Kitty, and how she just retired not too
Yes.
long ago. And, I highly suspected that this person looked like a neurodivergent, which is really cool. Like
Hmm.
The Pokemon creator is known to be an autistic person. So
Hmm.
that's really, really cool. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think it's great that your family really nurtured your interests and the things that your treasures that you have
Hmm.
collected since you were, do you still have those collections
So
from
the
where you
rocks.
were? What happened to them?
So when I was in high school, I was into a lot of bands. So I saved like this is when you were still getting physical tickets like 10, 11 years ago. So I saved like every ticket printout, every stub, guitar picks. If I had VIP passes, I would save those badges. And I had a record collection. A lot of that stuff right now is in a box underneath my bed. Unfortunately, a lot of the posters and stuff were really poor quality, like torn out of magazines or whatever. So I don't have those, but some of my like autograph stuff I have with me. My dad relocated out of state about 2 years ago. I grew up, my parents were divorced. So a lot of my big collections were at his house. So I do have a little bit like left of what I was really into. Unfortunately, as a kid, I moved like every year or every other year. So of course, when you're moving house so often, and I come from a family of four kids, things get lost, things get donated. But those really special things I still have. Under my bed, I still have my old yearbooks I worked on in high school. I still have like the zine I helped publish in college. So those little things that I have, I keep with me. Couldn't If I had everything with me, I would probably need a storage unit or like a whole separate like garage to keep them in. But I do have some of the really special things in my collection still.
Very nice, very nice. Now, our autistic brain. And we have a unique brain because we just perceive the world in a different way,
Hmm.
sensory wise. And I always try to help the parents I work with how this sensory processing differences, it really impacts everything in our
Hmm.
lives. It impacts the way we think and communicate. And it's also our lifestyle.
Yeah.
How do you think, as an autistic person, can you give us an example of how your autistic mind really impacts your everyday decision making, your relationship, where you live, who you talk to, and so
Yeah. So I think, let me think about this. Because I did not know I was autistic until like 4 months before I graduated from college. I like always felt like I was a little different. I always like kind of gravitated towards people who had like similar interests in me. So like in high school, it was all the kids that liked alternative music and Warped Tour. We were in a friend group. Or early in college, it was like all about the cosplaying and stuff. Um, as I got older during college, I don't want to say it wasn't interest based, but I ventured out and found people who were willing to understand and accommodate me, even if they didn't have those same interests. Because I went to Michigan State University, which is the largest university in Michigan. So you're going to meet all kinds of people. And through that work, I found out I was very passionate about accessibility and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I started to meet people, in these social groups who cared about the same social issues as me, and who like understood like you're going to the bar for your birthday. That's great. I don't do bars or clubs because it's too noisy. And I have friends that you know, respect that. Or, I don't go to every tailgate. I enjoy tailgating, but once a year is enough for me because it can be very loud or overstimulating. As an adult, I have like a very strict bedtime routine. I love talking on the phone with people. I'm a verbal processor, but most of my friends know, like, if it's a weeknight and you call after like 9:30, I'm in bed watching ASMR with my white noise on. Like, I have to keep that very strict bedtime routine. So for me, I've met a lot of people that I'm just, honest about, like, hey, this is how I show up, this is where I'm a little different. And most people um are very understanding and or, considerate of that fact. I think especially now, like as an adult, I'll be 26 in June. All of my friends are in grad school or working full time. So we're not seeing each other every day like we did in college when everyone lived 5 minutes away from each other. So I think when we do hang out in person, they are very accommodating to me. And we also, enjoy each other. We might have coloring nights, thrifting, going out to restaurants, doing community service with members of my sorority. So I think I have a very strong support group and people who kind of, you know, meet me where I am and understand sometimes I do get overwhelmed and sometimes like I just need a break or, I'm not going to answer the phone at 10:30 because I'm asleep. I'm not ignoring you, but like most of my friends know like after 9 p.m. I'm asleep. So I have kind of found my group of people through trial and error, like anyone else, because, we meet people who are good for one season and not good for another, or maybe fit our lifestyle in a certain way earlier in life. But like, as I've kind of established roots back here in Detroit after I moved back here in 2023, I'm glad to have found like kind of a good group of people that accept me.
Thank you for sharing all that. I have a question about your work. I guess it's time to talk about the grown-up stuffs
Hmm.
stuff. I can't even talk today. Sorry. But okay, so tell us about your work and advocacy work is separate, like your
Okay.
work. So let's
Like
talk
my nine
about
to
that.
five.
Yes.
Okay. So to kind of take it back, I have a degree in professional and public writing and a minor in African American and African studies from Michigan State University. So that is a fancy way of saying I have a degree in rhetoric and digital rhetoric and like multimodal communications. So um, I have had a job in some capacity since I've been 16. I have been freelancing since I was about 21 years old. So had different internships on campus, did a corporate internship, worked for a disability rights organization here doing communications work. Um, I had a mayoral fellowship when I graduated from college, and I was working in events and social media and kind of public engagement. And right now, I work for a federally funded program at a university in my area where I'm a one woman's communication team. So I do outgoing communications, our website, our social media, our inbox for inquiries. We have 5 centers across the state of Michigan, all the way from the Lower Peninsula here in Metro Detroit, all the way to the Upper Peninsula. And I coach those people on how to use social media because they are not, marketing and communicators. In my day job, I also sit on a communications committee for our national organization. So I collaborate with people throughout the country to kind of train people in this organization how to maximize social medias. Because we are federally funded, we're typically dealing with small budgets, skeleton crews, and people wearing many hats. But storytelling is an important part of our advocacy work and getting our mission out there. So I help teach people how to do that, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, storytelling. Um, and outside of my 9 to 5, I previously have worked as a freelance accessible travel writer for Visit Detroit and Pure Michigan, our local and our state board of tourism, writing about accessible sensory friendly travel, adaptive recreation opportunities. And currently, right now, I am writing for Uniquely You Metro Detroit, which is a nationwide magazine, as far as I understand. And they write about topics impacting disabled people and their families. So there are family resources from IEP coaches, things about ABLE accounts, things about different recreation opportunities, therapies, maybe schools geared for children with disabilities. There's a whole calendar of things going on, like sensory friendly nights at the cinema or at orchestra hall or things like that. So I kind of am a generalist there, and whatever comes across my desk, I've had the opportunity to write about some amazing advocates and organizations here in Metro Detroit. I think I have my first cover story coming out next month, which is excited. I haven't done a cover story since college, so a lot of my days are spent at a computer writing or in Canva or checking social media analytics. And I have a couple of certifications from HubSpot as well, and possibly eyeing a master's degree in PR and communications once my life slows down a little bit. So that's kind of my job as kind of a connector, writer, you know, information gatherer and information producer.
Amazing. It sounds like you're doing everything that you love. It's based on your interest in writing,
Mm-hmm.
that's your strength. And now you're able to pick and choose like projects and freelancing, but it's based on that one
Yeah.
interest of yours. That is really incredible.
Yeah.
Now, what about your advocacy work,
Yeah.
the not the passion projects and all of that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I to kind of step back, my work with disability advocacy starts in about 2019. And in 2019, I had a 2018, 2019, I had a severe mental breakdown. I live with a mental health condition as well as a chronic health condition. And so through that, I was like, well, I'm like 19. None of my friends can really relate to me. I never thought I would end up getting like very, very sick. I had to step away from university. I had to go move back home. It was a very tough time. And so I started getting involved in Facebook groups and advocacy surrounding that and telling my story. In uh, 2023, I emailed Michigan Disability Rights Coalition. I'm like, hey, I'm a college student. I want to work in the disability rights and disability justice space. How do I do that? And so I ended up working for them with my now friend and mentor who was a supervisor there, took me under her wing. I had autistic burnout in 2024, left my job, was freelancing. My mentor said, hey, I'm doing this panel about autistic media representation because she's a filmmaker and she says, I want someone with lived experience. Will you come with me to this conference and present? We present, it's a hit. I apply for the conference on my own. I speak at their Women and Girls Summit. I get flown out last year. And that's kind of how I started doing conferences because I would share my stories on Instagram and people, their parents or community members would say this is so impactful. But when I got to be on that virtual stage, that's when it like really clicked for me. Like, this is a way to do advocacy. So I do conferences, podcasts. Currently, my biggest advocacy endeavor and kind of education is the Michigan LIN program, and LIN stands for Learning Education in Neurodevelopmental and Related Disabilities, or LIND. And it's a federally funded program to equip self advocates, parents, community members, educators, clinicians, medical professionals, social workers to have a positive impact on the lives of disabled children, youth, and adolescents. It's a 300-hour program, graduate level work. In Michigan, they only pick about 20 people to participate a year, so highly competitive. I have been steadfast working on that since September of 2025. And on April 25th, I will complete my final hour for Lynn. I presented my final project, which is a peer-to-peer support group for Black autistic women. That was a research project I undertook, and now I'm kind of fine-tuning that. In Detroit, I am so lucky to work alongside so many parent advocates for the Black community, and we just, uplift. I go on people's podcasts, I share resources, I attend their events, I speak at their events. Yesterday we were at the Autism in the D Detroit Autism Day walk with over 2,000 other participants. We helped raise $55,000 for our first sensory gym in the city of Detroit. So for me, advocacy is just about learning and educating as it is from teaching. And Lynn gave me a perfect experience. I got to go to an audiology clinic. I got to see a pediatric autism diagnostic clinic, which otherwise I would not have. I got to meet with geneticists and audiologists and other, self advocates and learn about special education and adult services and all those things. So, I take advocacy work very seriously, and it's kind of my 5 to 9, my nights and weekends. If someone calls me and says, hey, I have a young woman who needs resources, I'm finding resources. If someone says, hey, I have a sibling, how do they navigate this process or that process? So advocacy work is not done in a silo. I work with an amazing network of advocates and mentors and people here in Detroit who are on the ground advocating. So I'm blessed to be in a community that, pours into me just as much as I pour into them. It's hard work. It's my passion project. It does not pay the bills yet. It's not my full-time job because I still need PTO and health insurance and retirement and the ability to go on vacation. But it definitely, that's what fills up my cup, and that's what keeps me kind of motivated, is the need for advocates and the need for diverse storytelling from people across the spectrum. So yeah, that's kind of a overall of my advocacy work. And then of course I have the Instagram, I have the YouTube channel, I have LinkedIn. Whenever I get a thought in my head, I write it down, it turns into a video. But that is how I advocate.
All right. Well, the community, the autistic and autism communities, we are very blessed to have you in there. So that's thank you so much for doing all you can and then some more. So I have one last question, and then we do a fun rapid fire questions
Okay.
at the end, and then we have to uh, have you say your like all of your Instagram, social media like
Yeah.
handles so people can
Yeah.
find you at the end, but we'll move that to the front.
Okay.
So the one closing question I have for you is, what would you say to a young autistic BIPOC person
Yeah.
trying to navigate adulting? And yes, so what would you say? What's the one thing that you want them to hang on to?
I'm going to say something that my current boss tells me all the time about working in higher ed and working with federal funding. Be patient, it will change. And that goes for your friend group, your living situation. You might wake up one day and decide, hey, this career I want is not sustainable for me and I need to pivot. And that's how I made the pivot from journalism to professional writing. Still writing, still storytelling, but not under the shadow of the 24-hour news cycle. Um, Everyone, I would say 18 to 30 is going through something. So if you feel lost, you feel confused, these are the same questions I'm having, and I have a full-time job, and I have friends that are older than me, and we are like, how are we doing this adulting thing, especially just with everything going on in the world? Um, Find resources and find a mentor. It only takes one person to open up one door, and that opens up Pandora's box of opportunities. If it were not for my mentor Tamika, I would not be speaking to you. I would not be a public speaker. I would not be on conferences. Um, but because one person had faith in me that, my voice could change the world, it kind of like gave me the confidence to really, shine and do that. So whenever you can, don't be afraid to cold email that professor or that nonprofit. I used to just every time in college, hi, I'm Charlotte Bachelor. I'm a senior at Michigan State University studying professional and public writing. I want to do accessibility work. How do I get involved? You might get no response, but there is someone willing to say yes and meet with you. And the other thing I say is just give yourself grace. You're young, you're figuring yourself out. Some things you might start and not finish, or you might get to the finish line and be like, wow, that was a really crappy experience. I never want to do that again. I hate accounting and I want to be a tax preparer instead, or maybe I don't like Pilates and rock climbing is my thing, or maybe hey, I don't like cooking, or I don't like this food. It is okay to change your mind. We change, we grow, and the person I was 6 years ago at 20 is not the same person I was in 2026. I mean, still same essence, still same heart, but I've grown and matured in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
So
Do you believe um do you believe that no such a thing as a failure? It's all part of the learning experience, or it's all part of the process. Do you believe that?
I think learning, like there are definitely like learning moments for everyone at, even as adults, there are things that you might try that might not work out, or the learning experience is you're not meant to be doing that and there's a better way or a different way to approach it. So, um if you think you've made a mistake, there are probably people who have made bigger mistakes than you, and there are plenty of 17 to 30-year-olds making mistakes every day, bumping their heads and learning. So um it's all a learning process. And that's the other thing. You always have to be learning. Even if you're not in course, no one knows everything. So be humble enough to admit that you don't know. That's probably one of the most mature things you can, do as a young person learning and growing.
All right. So that was a really, really good interview. I didn't even have to use all my prepared questions because we were just able to talk about the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And all right, so let's do our rapid fire. Favorite
Okay.
song?
Oh, favorite song. I'm gonna say Pure Honey by Beyonce.
Cool. Favorite activity?
Thrifting.
Favorite country to go to?
I've only been to two countries, but I'll have to say, Mexico is beautiful. I've
Okay,
been to yeah, I've been to Baja California and I've been to Oaxaca, and they were both beautiful, both fantastic.
cool. Favorite comfort item?
I have a 20-pound weighted blanket I got 2 Christmases ago, and I can't sleep without it.
Favorite person to hang out with?
Favorite person I hang out with, probably a distance between my best friend who lives an hour and a half away from me, or my partner. He lives locally. So when I get to see my best friend like 3 or 4 times a year, it's a very special occasion. And I'm going to have dinner with her tomorrow night. So that's very exciting.
Favorite food you can eat 3 times a week?
Chipotle steak bowl.
Nice. All right. So let's give you the time to shout out all of your social media handles. So maybe you can start with my name is Charlotte Bachelor and you can find me
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, so my name is Charlotte Bachelor. I am probably the only person in the world named Charlotte Bachelor, so that makes it very easy to find me. I am on Instagram at Charlotte Says, all one word with 2 S's. I am on YouTube with Bonnet Chronicles, Autism Baddie travel vlogs. I am on YouTube under at Charlotte Says with 3 S's, so it's my Instagram handle with one more S. I am on LinkedIn under Charlotte Bachelor. If you just look up Charlotte Bachelor podcast, there are plenty of stuff. And I will also send my link tree to be included. My link tree is link.tree/work with Charlotte B. And if you like what you heard today and want to get in contact with me, you can email me at workwithcharlotteb@gmail.com.